Welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to cover the other two factions I didn't cover previously, which are the Deutsche Afrika and USF. So we'll get started with the easier of the two, in my opinion, being USF. So USF operates a little bit differently compared to the other factions. This being the fact that their HQ houses support centers.
Eager to lead the men to battle. Let's get moving.
And these support centers essentially augment the kind of way you'll play the game, I suppose, or they'll boost a specific weak point
A mechanized combat group awaits deployment.
in your units. So before we touch on them, we'll quickly cover the two starting units. So the first one is the Scout.
No route too challenging.
So Scouts are a rifle infantry of 3 men and 85 health, making them the weakest
Scouts, let's
in
head out,
terms of
boys.
health
Stay together.
pool out of all the starting units.
We're all ears, sir.
Being a rifle infantry, they have the advantage over pioneers, where they can do some decent chip damage to main lines that are pushing towards them.
Need some recon, sir?
They make up for the weakness of not being a great combat unit with the facts that they are they have high capture speed, and that's as base, so that's great. They have increased vision range. So for example, if I move the scouts over here and turn this off, as you can see that this vision range is quite large compared to other units, where it's a bit difficult to discern from this sort of point of view. But as you can see here, this ring isn't as great as this ring.
No route too challenging.
Scouts also gain veterancy when they're capturing points too, so this allows them to essentially never really fall behind in the veterancy game. And whilst their veterancy isn't amazing, and I'm talking about these veterancy by the way, it's still very nice to have. So getting extra vision, extra cap and speed. You really play into their utility part rather than trying to bolster them as a pseudo mainline. But obviously that isn't possible being a 3-man.
You name it.
But they do
We'll capture it.
do a good job at what they do. Maybe the best infantry unit for going around and capping points and stuff. Being that they're not like pioneers where they can repair and make fortifications.
Don't be a son of a bitch. Go losing your
And the thing with
What's our
scouts,
target?
and with all USF units in general, is that they have dual veterancy options instead of just having a flat veterancy.
They just promoted
As you can
us.
see,
About fucking time.
it's a little bit bugged because I'm not playing as USF. That's actually a big problem.
That's us, boys. Get your gear ready.
Okay, I will change that really quick. Actually, you know what? I'm pretty sure I remember all the veterancy options. So, the two veterancy options that scouts have is smoke screen. So when they retreat, they drop a smoke screen. This is only applicable every 60 seconds.
Loaded and ready.
It allows them to essentially just get out of harm's way. Stops wipes. You can also use this in a sort of altruistic way, in which you get your scouts in ahead or behind a unit that's already retreating, and then you just retreat these guys and you can smoke. More often than not, this saves wipes. It's a very useful ability, but I think it's a bit overrated, to be honest. I think that the other option, which is stealth reconnaissance, is a lot better.
What's our target?
Stealth reconnaissance essentially means that this unit becomes invisible. They walk a lot slower, and they can't capture points. But it gives you, it makes them invisible for starters. So they're even invisible on open terrain like this. They also gives you a lot of information in an area, and because they can't be seen unless there's a minesweeper out or if there's detectors nearby, you basically, the enemy's never going to know these units are here. It gives you a lot of vision,
Let's get to it, fellas.
and a lot of sort of I'm gonna need this.
We have completed the research.
Let's see. Yeah, we'll go like this. We'll do this in order. So, going back to what I was saying.
Scouts, we're getting extra recon kit.
Scouts do have an
Standing
upgrade. The flare package,
Fire
which
up the
you
flare,
should be
boys.
familiar with the other previous units with flares.
by. It's done, sir.
Gives you just a nice bit of vision in an area, and then they also have a smoke rifle nade. You can see
Task completed.
just
What's
smoke
next?
from the scouts. It's very good. Utility unit.
Ready for duty.
And it's okay in combat, but it's not their first and
coming down the pipe.
foremost job. The other unit here
Engineers standing by.
is
Lagging behind.
the USF Engineers. 4-man 100 health, very tanky, the tankiest engineer in the game, or at least base engineer.
Hey, you got a job for us?
The USF Engineers, they have flamethrower upgrade, they have the sweeper, they have the repair as well. All standard stuff for an engineer, but what makes them different is the satchel.
Now that is one big bag of boomsticks. Get on
This essentially
with it.
is a 2.5-second timer grenade. You mostly use this to clear satchels, emplacements, bunkers, fighting nests. You could even use it on like engine critical units if you get close to it. It's very
We
good,
got the
but
tools.
I feel like the mistake people make is that they might throw some of these a bit too much, which can hamper your secondary bar timing, which we'll get to.
Greasers, stand to.
Alongside that, they can make all the usual stuff, and unique to USF are these fighting positions. These fighting positions can be upgraded with either a 30 cal, which is just MG nest, MG bunker, stuff you're used to, or a mortar pit, which is essentially just a mortar in this little fighting nest, and it's a lot cheaper in terms of population. We're only being at 2, and it costs 75 munitions. You're not sinking manpower into this thing. It's very effective, but you do have to pay for the fighting nest, and you need the munitions, which can affect some of your secondary bar timings. So bear that in mind for what you will. But I'm not discrediting
aren't we a
this.
sight for
Both of these
sore
options
eyes?
are extremely good. And it's very
Engineers here.
it's just very good for its cost. The fighting nest is 50 manpower, and then you have the 30 cal on top of it being 60. Do bear in mind though that the 30 cal here is the same as the M1919 in the sense that its suppression time is not amazing. With the HQ out of the way, we can go on to the sort of juicy parts, being the support centers.
Captain here. What have you got?
That's what I need to clean up this absolute mess that I've made. But the support centers, so USF, they get 3 support centers. They get the ISC, the Infantry Support Center,
New units are reporting in.
the Mechanized Support Center,
On the field.
and the Air Support Center. So the
It was getting a
Infantry
bit too
Support
quiet
Center,
around here.
immediately
that's
once
us,
you build it,
fellas.
you'll
Let's
get
get on
this unit called the Captain's Retinue. Now, you don't exclusively need to make the ISC to always get the
What have you
Captain.
got?
As of recently, they made the Captain's Retinue base kit. So any support center you go, you'll still be able to make this unit. But the ISC will give it to you for free as soon as it's constructed.
Focus on me.
So, Captain's Retinue. Support infantry. I think that fits the bill perfectly. This is support infantry. Now that it doesn't get its 1919 as base kit. Things to know about the Captain. So it improves the veterancy of nearby units. So I think this is mistakes a lot, or overlooks, or just not registered properly to a lot of people. But units in this circle gain 25% XP, which is incredibly good for rifleman builds, SSF builds. This guy is going to make sure that your riflemen scale faster, and in most cases stay on par with other battle groups, like the Elite Forces battle group, for what it's worth. It also has support veterancy, so this guy also gains experience based on other units doing self-damage and inflicting losses, model drop, sorry. On top of these two abilities, they get the 1919, which is incredibly great. It's a solid weapon for the captain. It makes sure that they have a little bit of bang for buck sort of punch. As you'll find me repeating though, this does affect your secondary bar timings on your rifleman, so you have to kind of consider it. The captain does have 95 HP per model in a 3-man squad. The captain's retinue does get Thompson, and they get 2 Garans, but the Thompson will stay because the Thompson is better than a Garand, and it will disband the Garand in favour of this 1919. Additionally to its base kit, they get flanking manoeuvres, so you can use this on one of your own units or even an allied infantry. It has to be infantry, it cannot be a team weapon either. And essentially it gets 80% speed, they're 20% harder to hit, and they take 50% less suppression, so this is great to flank MGs. You can also use this on a suppressed, not pinned, suppressed unit to get them out of suppression very quickly, and it should give you the split second you need to throw your grenade. If you are doing this, however, getting a unit out of suppression, make sure you get them pretty close to the MG, not just inside of grenade throwing range, because chances are, especially into the MG42, you're going to get suppressed very quickly again. It does not make you immune to suppression, so get fairly close and then toss your grenade. It's even a mistake I make sometimes where I'll flank and maneuver my riflemen, and as soon as I toss a grenade, they get suppressed again, the grenade doesn't get tossed, and they have to keep crawling. And by the time they get close to the MG, either they'll have dropped too many models or they'll be pinned again. Or no, not again, sorry, they'll be pinned, which means they can't do anything. The captain's veterancy choices are of 2 things. Option A is the off-map mortar barrage, which essentially just highlights an area for mortars. It's good into team weapons, emplacements, anything of the sort, and it's free. A lot of these veterancy abilities are free, except and save for a few. Which reminds me, I need to go over the engineer's veterancy as well. But we'll do that in a sec.
Pipe down. Orders are coming in.
And the other option is Mark Vehicle, which makes them easy to hit, and I think it improves penetration. It no longer does damage, increased damage, sorry. But it's penetration and easier to hit, if I remember correctly. But don't take my word for it.
Greasers, stand
The
to.
engineer's veterancy, so they have superior fieldcraft, which increases their repair rate, and I believe it allows them to make structures and stuff a little bit faster.
Engineers here.
And the other one is light it up, which essentially you get to use a flamethrower for X amount of duration, but during that time you are going to have to stand still. If you don't have the flamethrower upgrade, it is going to cost 35 munitions. It does cost munitions, but if you have the flamethrower, the ability is free. I think that's, yeah, and then we'll quickly go over the support centers. So the ISC is the most basic of the bunch. If you're ever uncertain, in my opinion, the ISC is the best, because you're always going to have some form of infantry on the field, whether it be riflemen, assault engineers, if you go down the battle group routes, SSF commandos, stuff like that. ISC is very straightforward. And the 2 main highlights of it are advanced logistics. It basically makes all of your infantry units and team weapons cheaper to reinforce by 20%, which makes riflemen extremely manpower efficient, especially with your USF medical tent, which, give me one moment, there we go, medical station. The medical station casualty collects, so unlike DAK and UKF, This will go out its way to collect casualties and restore 25 manpower back, as you can see here. If you ever like a Brits and an ally, a Brits and the USF, the USF should always be making medical stations, by the way, because it's better for them and it's more efficient for the team. But quickly moving back to the support centers. So advanced logistics is very good. I typically pick this up if early, if I'm going into sort of like heavy weapons, for example. I'm going to have a lot of riflemen and a lot of team weapons and half tracks. That's how I usually play heavy weapons. So I'll pick up these 2 upgrades. I don't typically pick up the other 2. We'll quickly touch on them. But advanced logistics very good, and you should always try and find time to sort of weave it into your build. The other one is survival training. Increases all the infantry by 10, so it makes the captain's retinue 105, riflemen go to 110, engineers go to 110. It makes all your infantry a lot more tanky and survivable. On top of that, it reduces ability recharges, so the captain's barrage comes back faster, grenades come back faster, satchels, you know, stuff like that. Very straightforward upgrades. The other 2, as you can see, I skipped over them because I don't favour them too much. Munition surplus reduces the munition costs of infantry abilities, mines, and demo charges by 10. It's okay. For its cost, it's actually pretty solid. However, it sort of really depends, because this is 25 fuel, and you do want to get logistics and survival training first, I feel. But if you're struggling for bars, but you still need, you need the utility from like grenades and satchels and stuff like that, munition surplus can be a good pickup. The other IC upgrade is demo package. It basically gives engineers bazookas, demo charges, and mines. It also gives riflemen and scouts, I believe, the ability to do this. But I can't remember, and I doubt it'll work here. Let's have a look, actually.
No route to challenge.
Okay, yeah, so scouts do get this ability as well. There's the captain. The captain does not, though. So it's decent ability, but it's actually not that expensive. Okay, fair enough. I feel like with how costly the abilities can be, like this is 50 munitions and this is 50 as well, it can be a bit hard to weave that into the build as well. But if you make it work, you make it work, and props to you. The second support center is MSC. MSC is sort of playing into motor pool and tanks for the tank company, tank T-Bow, whatever. It's very straightforward. This is basically augments your vehicles, and upon making the MSC, you are able to put down a repair point for free. The first time you get the repair point, it is free, and then for every other time you want to move it or replace it, it is 100 manpower, so keep that in mind. Oh dear. But anyways, so we have salvage crews. This is the big one. It allows engineers to salvage wrecks. If you're like my friend group and lose your vehicles more often than you can count, or your vehicles just die a lot, this is good to sort of recover your losses and make sure that your vehicle losses don't get too out of hand. Gives you 25% manpower and 20% fuel. Upon salvaging it, it does destroy the wreck, and the opponents can also destroy the wrecks. So for example, let's say your opponent has I am on structures. Nice. Let's say they have an anti-tank gun here.
Get ready to kick. That zone looks good enough for
And
us.
let's say you lost an assault carrier.
We've been told wherever needed.
As such. So, You can salvage this with your engineers. However, if your opponent has some form of light anti-tank, this can be AT rifles, bazookas, Panzerschreck, anti-tank guns, and even some vehicles as well. You can even destroy these wrecks with enough small arms, but I find that it takes a bit too long. If you see your enemies salvaging, all you got to do, you see the attack move on any unit, really. You can just attack move onto the wreck, it'll highlight the wreck and it'll destroy it. And the same goes for team weapons. If there are a decrewed team weapon here, if there's a decrewed anti-tank gun, you can destroy the wrecks, destroy the weapons, destroy anything of the sort, and they won't be able to recrew it.
Hey, you got a job for us?
So keep that in mind. Improvised armor, as you can see, increases the armor of effective vehicles. All vehicles, by the way, so this even includes the Jeep from the barracks up to the Sherman in the tank depot. This also does affect battle group vehicles. It groups all vehicles that you have, even restored ones from your M31, the cavalry vehicle. I'm fairly zen. Increases it by 20%, and infantry handheld weapons damage reduced by 25%. So bazookas become less effective against your Panzerschrecks, Panzerjäger, Panzerbuchse rifles, and snares. Not snares. Okay, I lied. But it's a good upgrade, and for its cost, I typically always try to get this when I can. Make sure you have a vehicle, otherwise it means nothing though. Typically I might get this after a ground or a chaffee, or if I'm doubling up. It depends on the situation. Rapid repairs is also a good one. This is a lot more sort of into when you have multiple vehicles or you're playing in the team's environment. It generates a small aura which allows your vehicles to repair in, which is really good. It definitely helps out being a team player. And you can get this whenever you want. That's the beauty with rapid repairs. If you have like multiple teammates, let's say even if 3v3, 2 of your teammates, you have dingoes and maybe a Humber as well, you could just get this, and it keeps the uptime of the Humber and yours and allied vehicles up dramatically. Because without this upgrade, your MSC repairs can only affect one vehicle at a time. Finally, heavy barrels, plus 5 range and 25 additional rounds per burst. Typically, you're seeing heavy barrels with heavy weapon builds. So this only affects vehicles. Just bear that in mind. It does not affect 1919s and 50 cals and stuff like that. This affects all your vehicles and their pencil weapons and stuff like that. So typically, you see this with M16 builds. Maybe double Greyhound build if you ever see that. Rarely. It is one of the more situational of the three, but it is cheap as well. 125.25. Definitely every upgrade in the MSC is just a great choice to have. The last support center is ASC, also known as Air Support Center. Unlike the other two, it does not give you a unit or some sort of boon, but it does give you an extra +5 munitions when this is built. So as you can see here, I'm getting +5 munitions, which is negligible, but I won't say no to an extra 5 munitions, especially with certain builds. ASC boon is that, or the perks that come with ASC is that your first bombing run and your first strafe are always going to be free. Your recon runs are always going to be free. It can help with being a munition sink when you're not going into rifle builds. Like I said, a good munition sink. So the first AC upgrade, Advanced Air Recon. So the Grasshopper Recon plane, which is typically it'd be the first one here. It gains 15 vision and 1500 health, and it increases detection. So this can be really good spotting out stealth team weapons. So if you're playing against Terror, looking for MGs, packs with their veterancy 1. If you're playing against espionage and their beacons, this can be really helpful too. It essentially makes the recon plane a lot less squishier, and it gives it. It's most of the time, it'll get a full run of the battlefield and give you a lot of information for you and your team to work with. Air supply is good. It just straight up reduces the cost of AC abilities by 20. If I remember correctly, I believe it reduces the strafe from 50 to 30 in the bomber run from 70 to 40. It does make them cheaper. No, not 70 to 40, 70 to 50. It's not a bad upgrade. I definitely picked this up first out of the rest. But, as always, it depends. The next one is improved aircraft armor. So, it increases the aircraft armor of... it increases the health of all aircraft by 50%. Typically, you'll see this into sort of anti-aircraft. If the DAK makes flak veiling, which 9 times out of 10 they're going to make flak veiling. If there's anti-air emplacements, this is good. But typically there's going to be more than one, so your aircraft is still going to get shot down. You kind of pick this up reactively and not proactively. Because if they have no anti-aircraft, then there's no point in investing into this. But if they do, then you should. Not a bad upgrade for its cost, like I said. All these, the majority of these abilities, aside maybe IC, are pretty cheap. Finally, we have double sortie. So your strafe and your dive bombs come with additional runs. So you'll strafe once, for example, and then after a short delay, there'll be a second strafe. Same with the bombing run. It can really help kill emplacements with the bombing run, and for the strafe, it keeps the enemy out of the area. It can force a retreat if their infantry or whatever get pinned. It's a solid upgrade. It's definitely the second sort of upgrade I'd pick up. It's a bit more expensive, however, it is worth it, and it gives your players a lot more bang for buck for the cost of calling them in. Now, that was a lot. But that is essentially the headquarters for the USF DAK, which is great. So we'll move on now to the barracks. So barracks, before we even get into any of the units, you get grenades, just like with Brits. I believe these grenades are slightly cheaper. But unlike Brits, your riflemen also gain the ability to breach. So if there is an enemy unit in these buildings, for example, let's demonstrate. Let's say you're in a sort of choke pointy map, or there's a lot of buildings on the map, and it's causing you a lot of problems. I find myself encountering this problem a lot, especially on urban maps. Let's say there's a grenadier in here holding this building, and it's a very narrow choke point. What you can do with your riflemen... Oops.
No route too challenging.
With your riflemen, if you unlock...
Starting requisition of light support elements.
We'll just get grenades here. So our riflemen have grenades now. Let's say, you know...
We're leaving.
Oops. I didn't do that.
Silence!
Okay, now they're in the building.
Grenadiers ready.
Ready for
On our way, sir.
Why?
You need us? We're on the move. Follow me.
Use the door like gentlemen.
Okay,
And wipe your
grenadiers
feet.
are having technical difficulties.
Awaiting orders.
Okay, there we go. Let's say they're in this building, and they're holding it, and it's a choke point in map, and it's causing a lot of problems. What you can do with this Billy, 25 munitions.
Keep firing.
Don't get distracted. Come on,
Move your ass.
This is a lot more complicated than I'd like it to be, but...
Fucking move, Kinder.
Let's try this again. So let's say they're in this building.
The men are ready. Silence! Grenadiers
You
ready.
men, get ready.
Typically, you'd be able to breach this, you'd kick them out, you do a lot of damage.
We're locked and
But I
loaded.
cannot be bothered to try and make this thing work for a demonstration, so... There goes them. So, yeah, you can breach a building. It only costs munitions if the
away.
breach is successful. In which case,
the
it'll
word,
take the
sir.
25 munitions. But if you breach and the enemy jumps out, it does not cost
We're locked and
munitions. So that's great.
We're up, boys.
It really helps riflemen sort of gain the edge in those urban maps, and taking grenades into those types of maps is often beneficial and never like a sort of bad idea. But you have to obviously take in mind the fact that it does cost a little bit of fuel, so it will delay your motor pool if you go motor pool, as well as other things. Moving on. So, the other upgrade is the Browning. Now this affects specifically and only riflemen. Rangers do also get with bar, but we're not talking about Rangers today. It costs 150 manpower and 40 fuel, so it's a big investment, and this is the only sort of weapon that costs fuel. But now, basically, when you buy it, all your riflemen get bar. And this is a pretty good upgrade because you can get a second one too. It really helps out with riflemen fighting the other line infantry, especially DAKs. Panzer Grenadiers at the moment. Bars kind of feel essential if you're not doing some sort of weird tipsy build. It's very good. And like I said, you can buy a second one too. Definitely helps with the anti-infantry power. Now this is sort of a mid-close range weapon. So against like Jaegers with scopes, it might not do so good, but you don't want to be fighting Jaegers with scopes at long range anyways. You want to be getting in their face and doing as much damage as you can. Now, for the actual Baux units, we have the Rifleman.
We're locked and loaded.
Your mainline standard infantry unit. 6 man of 100 health is the tankiest mainline in the game, shared with DAK's Panzer Grenadier without VSL. They can be upgraded with a second bar, so they get the dual bars. If a model drops, the bar will replace the Garans as usual. They have breach, as we've already touched on. They have grenades, and they have a sticky bomb. They're pretty standard infantry. They're very straightforward units. Their veterans is very good. As with all infantry, you never really want to lose these guys because the veterancy helps them really stand up to access main lines in the
Look sharp, fellas. We're up.
late game, which is where riflemen will really shine. In the early game, they struggle a little bit because
Square your kit. Make sure that light gun has plenty of mags.
it can be a little bit tricky sometimes with certain fights, like Grenadier Pyro combos. However, playing it well, playing it right, playing with cover will make sure the riflemen come out on top. The second unit is the Jeep. This guy. So this guy is a ultralight detector. He does not cost manpower to reinforce because he's a vehicle, so you have to repair him. He has 4.5 frontal armor, so he has about equal with the Dingo. Same sort of stats armor-wise as the Dingo, but it also comes with the Scout Commander, which allows it to scale into the late game as a good support unit. Basically, it works similar to the 221 Stout card that we talked about in the last video, in which case it gives you extra vision and it allows you to see enemies in the fog of war with that little exclamation icon.
We're on it.
On top of that, it has support veterancy, which is great, and it can self-repair. So if it's damaged,
4x4 is ready to
and
roll.
you can back it out. As long as it's not in combat and away and safe, you can use this ability and it'll repair the unit to full. Bearing in mind this goes on a long cooldown, I think it's 180 seconds-ish, 120 seconds, around there. So make sure you're not just relying on this exclusively. Make sure you have an engineer.
Where to, sir?
If you're planning to use this guy very proactively.
Preferred it when we didn't have a radio.
His 2 veterancy upgrades are capture territory, as you can see, so it allows the vehicle to capture territory points like the Kettenkrad and the Kradschutzen.
Here we come,
And
Jerry.
the other veterancy ability is the mobile supply platform, which allows it to essentially, for 75 munitions, you can drop a mortar and or an MG.
4x4 is ready to roll.
But it doesn't come with a crew, so make sure you crew that with your infantry. On top of that, the 4x4 can tow. So if you ever find yourself decrewing packs, or if like a ally loses their 6-pounder and they have no infantry nearby, you can just tow it away. Just bear in mind, like I said last video, towing can be a bit clunky, so make sure that you're properly supported
4x4 is
and
ready to
or
roll.
it's safe. The last unit is the mortar.
They're calling us in, fellas.
Now the M1 mortar is the best mortar in the game. It's got good scatter. And it's good fire rate too. The veterancy abilities are really what picks it up though. So it has 2 veterancy abilities. The first one being Airburst. So Airburst is basically great for dealing with team weapons. It basically
coming down the chain.
is a high explosive
Listen
barrage,
up.
but it's just so much better. It does a lot more damage. And if your opponent doesn't respond quickly enough, it can force
You heard
retreat
the
and
man.
or decrew.
We're up.
The secondary ability is the bunker delayed fuse charge, which basically in dumb terms means it deals with emplacements very good. You can use it against team weapons too,
We got our orders.
but it does cost munitions, both of them to use. So
We got the word,
if you
gentlemen.
find yourself against team weapons, just use the barrage. Otherwise, the bunker busting barrage is a lot better for bunkers, flak emplacements, flak times and stuff like that. You know, very very simple unit, but it's probably one of the best mortars out there. And that's the barracks. Believe it or not, we got through that really quick, which I'm pretty happy about. Similar to Wehrmacht, USF has tier 2 and tier 3. There is no 2.5 and 3.5 though, so it's a little less complicated. So tier 2 is the weapon support center. Now, unlike Wehrmacht, you can either go for a tier 1 build with barracks or a tier 2 build with WSC into MGs. The WSC produces team weapons. It's a little bit more difficult to play as an opening, especially as a sort of newer player, because you might think of these options and you think, well, I have no mainline, so if they just walk at me or they flank me and kill my MG, what do I do? Typically you'll pair this with battlegroup builds like Pathfinders, or you'll go with engineers, but it depends. We'll quickly touch on the machine gun. So it's the M1919. It's the slowest, I believe.
Where'd you need a 30 cal?
It's the slowest to suppress. I think it also does the less damage, but it's a good hold the line unit. So when it's set up, it's harder to hit. This used to be damage reduction, I'm pretty sure, but they changed it, thankfully.
Get ready to kick some ass, boys.
So it's not the best of the MGs, but it's definitely the most durable. Additionally, the 2 veterans upgrades, so as you can see here, bottom vehicle is the first one. It's okay. I can never really find myself needing to have this unless you're into like DAKs 250s, but 250s are becoming increasingly rare to fight. So bottom vehicle is kind of meh. 50% vision and speed is nothing to scoff at. It can definitely help with good flanks and ambushes, but it's just really whatever. The other one is improved defensive setup, which increases this to 25% when set up, which is, you know, it's an extra
MG, waiting
5%.
on you.
It's whatever.
Get those guns
But it's typically
ready.
the one
Orders
I go
just
with
came
when
in.
I'm using the 1919. Next unit is bazookas. So this is your early sort of form
Bazooka
anti-tank.
team.
Now, as you can see, they have this little ring around them. This is their range when they're stationary for a couple of seconds. Steady fire. So when they're stationary for
Orders just
7
came
seconds,
down.
it gains more range. If it's in a garrison, it'll also
Order
gain
just
this.
came through on the radio.
It's not a bad ability at all. But you don't really want to use these guys as running gun. These are supposed to zone vehicles from diving, stop them from like doing some weird pushes, and ultimately punish them. Because when they're braced, they have a lot of range, as you can see, and they do a lot of damage. Nothing to scoff at. Quickly touch on WSC's improved bazooka attack. For 150 manpower and 30 fuel, it increases the damage, anti-vehicle damage of all bazookas by 33%. So these bazookas can get pretty scary, and they're not that squishy either at 95 health for men. And with your, support ISC upgrades, it goes up to 105. So, and even at Veterancy 1, they get more health too. So they get 120 health at Veterancy 1 with the upgrades. They're not squishy, but they can be easy to deal with because they're only 4 men. So they're very quickly able to sort of like be punished and taken out of the fight. You want to use these guys carefully, keep them in cover, keep them away from rifle infantry. But otherwise, yeah, solid unit. They can attack ground too.
Moving to attack.
With some accuracy. A bit more accuracy than Panzerschrecks, but with its veterancy abilities, it has an anti-tank satchel. So if a tank dives this thing, you just toss it on the tank, bam. It's typically gonna die, with rare exceptions. The satchel's good though. It definitely punishes greedy sort of dives and anti-tank. Sorry, not anti-tank, just regular vehicle play.
Orders coming in.
And it works the same as a snare in the sense where if it goes below 50% health, it's gone. The other one is the white phosphorus. Yeah, I think it's called the white phosphorus round. Essentially, you use the white phosphorus round, you shoot it over at typically a team weapon or infantry in cover that just don't want to budge, and it'll deal damage over time, and it blocks their vision too. If they don't move, they lose their units. But typically, they don't tend to drop models if the unit's at full health, because it deals damage evenly over the units that are in that smoke. But it's or the white phosphorus. But it's good ability. It makes sure bazookas sort of have their place as a utility unit on top of being anti-tank. But it like I said. It depends. If you're not going against a lot of team weapons, then the satchel would probably be better. But otherwise, the white phosphorus round is not that bad at all. Now, the same with Wehrmacht.
Rifle at the ready.
We have snipers. I don't really need to touch on this unit. It's near enough identical to the Wehrmacht sniper. Its veteran's ability just gives it a medkit, so it's able to heal, which is whatever. This unit shouldn't really be getting damaged to begin with. The other one is stealth reconnaissance, which allows it to just basically, it's like the scout. It keeps him invisible. He can't shoot or cap. Typically, you don't really want to do stealth reconnaissance with this unit either, because it doesn't want to be in the places scouts want to be. But like I said previously, just a fresh reminder. Kills any model with one shot. If the units are against it in cover, it takes longer to hit and kill those units. Units out in the open die faster to snipers, so keep your units in cover. And to be honest, it's just not that threatening of a unit. But it can get very annoying over the course of the game. Finally, for WSC, we have the half-tracks. So the regular half-track that you produce is 250 manpower 30. Yep. Solid unit, unupgraded. It'll die to any other light vehicle though. 8 rads will kill it. 221s with Panzerbuster will kill it. It's more just to support your infantry, reinforce your infantry. It's okay though. It's not bad at all. The half-track gets support veterancy too, much like the captain, and it's able to recrew weapons like the 251. The veterancy abilities, The fortified position, which basically it makes a fighting nest, and it's free. It's a free fighting nest. The upgrades are not free though. And the other option is deploy salvage crews, which allows it to essentially just salvage a wreck, even without salvage from MSC. The half track comes in 3 variants. We have the medical variant, which we touched on last time, 251. You know, basically just identical to 251. Both of these can tow as well, so keep that in mind. But more often than not, you'll probably be just recrewing. We have the M16, which is USF's main anti-air vehicle. It's also great at dealing with infantry. It has a lot of range, as you can see. Like, look at that range. It's just a lot. And with heavy barrels, it goes up a lot more too. So if we buy heavy barrels here,
Understood. Research is underway.
you can see that range dramatically increases. It's a lot.
We're on it.
This is a soft counter as well. It'll do some pretty solid damage to a flak veil and an 8 red, but more often than not, both of those vehicles will beat this out in a straight up fight. So keep it at range and keep it safe. Something to note is that it does have a little bit more frontal armor, but that's pretty negligible. Like, the frontal armor is kind of just whatever.
That's our number, boys.
The last one is the GMC, the gun motor carriage. It's more colloquially known as a GMC. This is the main the anti-tank. So exclusively anti-tank. This is like soft against light vehicles, but this is primarily for dealing with light and medium vehicles. It acts sort of as a mortar, so you can use this to deal with team weapons on top of vehicles. So it does have that utility sense. It's very straightforward though. It's just an AT gun on wheels, but it can be damaged by small arms, so don't get too greedy with it. And it is relatively squishy. Its 2 veterancy abilities are blinded shot.
Wait a second.
Similar to the 221's Panzerboxer blinded shot, it just disables the weapon 100% vision, and it's a white phosphorus cloud that damages infantry if they jump on it too early. The other one is Fair Strike, where if it sits still for like 3 to 5 seconds, I think, it gains increased damage penetration and something else. I can't remember. But typically, it depends. Both of the options are actually pretty solid. With WSC done, we move on to motor pool. So this is all your vehicles. This is like your meaty vehicles for the light, all the light vehicles, and this is sort of rounding out into your mid game. So the first unit is the ground. The ground has 2 upgrades. Gives it a 50 cal gun, which on top of its coaxial, so this gives it a pretty good chunk of anti-infantry firepower. And it gives it skirts too, which gives it more health. I don't believe, yeah, it doesn't give it armor, just health. The ground is an expensive munition sink. Both of these are 50, which rounds out to 100 munitions. So you want to keep this thing alive, especially if you're going with riflemen on top of this, because you want to make sure you get value out of it. The veterancy ability is a raider, so it decaps units, decaps points, and the other one is canister shot, which is like a shotgun shot of rounds against infantry. You want to get close. It won't do damage to vehicles, so keep that in mind. The ground can deal with all light vehicles and some mediums. It's okay into flak veiling, it's okay into wearable winds, but typically this guy is kind of meh on his own. He's more of a support unit than going out of his way to kill vehicles. He'll deal with infantry very well, but you know, you need to hold his hand with something. The other vehicle that you'll get here is the Shafi. Now this guy is exclusively anti-tank, but he does his job pretty solid. So as a light vehicle, he's relatively cheap. He has some good armor too. From the front and the sides, he's immune to small arms. He also gets a smoke shell too. very good to get your unit out in a pickle. On top of that, he has recon mode, which is an upgrade, which was not so recently, but recently added, allowing it to self-spot. It works like a pseudo scout, so if you have no vehicles to deal with, this is like a good sort of recon unit to have. There's 2 veterancy abilities as flanking speed, so it just gives it far more speed, makes it harder to hit, it gives it acceleration. Basically makes it speedy. Good to get into engagements and dive, and good to get out of engagements. The other one is detect vehicle, which allows it to basically detect vehicles up to 75 meters in the fog of war, which can be good to sort of hunt down pesky vehicles like Stukas and stuff like that, like Harden in the back. The last option is the generic M1 AT gun. If I can find it, because I just deployed it and then deleted it because I'm a genius. Anti-tank gun.
We've been told where we're
So
needed.
this is a little bit different compared to the other AT guns. Of course, it can attack ground. It has all the usual stuff. As a base kit sort of thing, the AT gun gets AP rounds. It just gets more damage and 100% more penetration. It definitely helps. As you can see at that 3, penetrating hits on a vehicle cause injury criticals, which is the yellow one, the yellow little triangle. This guy, you keep these things alive and they'll do you good. There's two veterancy. The first one being brace, which is this one, I'm pretty sure. The weapon cannot fire, but it takes like a lot less damage, and the other one is focus sights, which increases the vision range. It's a bit like the Cat and Cred, but do note this does not narrow the arc like the Vickers focus gunnery. This is just
57
vision
needs
range.
orders.
But aside that, very generic
Get it
AT gun. Does its job good. And
Get
with
those
AP
guns
rounds,
ready.
can
Orders
definitely,
just came in.
deal with the heavier tanks in the late game, i.e. Panthers and Tigers and stuff like that.
Boots to fit you, Howard.
And that's Metal. The last choice, which is your tier 4, and inevitably your late game, unless you have like some sort of battle group focus stuff to play into, is the M4A1 Sherman. This guy.
Look alive, boys. We're up.
The Sherman, solid tank, 195 frontal armor, and that's with the out improved armor, which it takes up to like 215, 220.
Got the word
Very,
from
very
battalion
good
command.
frontal armor. Very good tank in general, even without its 76 gun. It doesn't stand up too well to other mediums. The other mediums will
That's an affirmative.
kind of bully this guy a little bit, but it is tanky. 720 health, and once you get a 76
Been
gun,
given a purpose,
this thing
boys.
becomes pretty
Give us
scary.
something to do.
So
Sherman
we'll
reporting.
lump these two in together.
Give us something
With
to
the
do.
76 gun, it gains more penetration. I'm pretty sure its anti-infantry performance is slightly reduced. Don't quote me on that though. I think that's just for the Easy 8. Same deal as the Sham, but it's just better. And this did become base kit too. Before this, it was in the MSC in place of heavy barrels. But the 76 gun became base kit, and heavy barrels is here now. As you can see, it increases the anti-vehicle accuracy of a maximum 30% at short range, and increases the penetration of the gun. So it deals with tanks a lot better. And this is for all Shermans. This includes all Shermans. So it's definitely good if you're going into multiple Shermans. Its veterancy choices, keep them firing. As you can see, it's just more burst length. It keeps them shooting for a lot longer. The 50 cals on top of the Sherman can also suppress infantry, though you're never going to really see that because the infantry will just typically retreat if that's the case. But they are slower, so they are a little bit more susceptible to flanks. The second tank depot vehicle is the Hellcat. Now, the Hellcat is your
Time to get to work,
anti-tank
Carl.
vehicle. It's contrary to popular belief, this thing is really good in mass. It does okay on its own, nothing to write home about, but get these guys massing, and they'll deal with tigers, king tigers, stone tigers, all the tigers. They'll deal with all the heavy tanks. They won't beat those vehicles in a one-on-one fight because its main gun reload speed is pretty low. All these vehicles come with 50 cal upgrades, by the way. However, I don't buy 50 cals on Hellcats because their role is anti-tank, not anti-infantry, and the 50 cal is sort of whatever. If I wanted a 50 cal on this, I'd much rather have like a bar or a 50 cal on a different unit. It is open top too, so as a passive, when it's stationary, it gains weapon range. This is sort of whatever. Your Hellcats kind of want to be on the move anyways, and then it also gains HVAP. I can't remember what the other one was, but typically you always go HVAP because HVAP is just such a good ability to have. As you can see, 25% more damage, 50% more penetration. Finally, Bulldozer. Now, the Bulldozer is your anti-infantry mortar sort of vehicle, a bit like the Brumbar, but not as effective as the Brumbar in terms of just raw damage output. It has the Dozer blade, so it can crush heavy objects and obstacles like tank traps. It reduces mine damage, and it cannot receive engine critical by mines, but it is a bit slower. And this can be good when you're playing against an opponent that's playing with a lot of mines and a lot of even anti-tank mines. It's also really good for dealing with structures too. So it has two veterancy options, like all the other ones. You have Incendiary Barrage, which is okay. It's not bad, but the range for these abilities, as you can see by the red circle, is pretty short. So it's take it with a grain of salt. Oh no, wait, yeah. If you can barely, yeah, you can see the red circle. It's still pretty short. The other one, which I tend to lean to, is the Bunker Buster munitions, which allows you to deal with emplacements a lot better and gets rid of them a lot faster. It can attack ground, so even if your vision's obscured, or if there's like a unit in a hard place to hit where your vehicle can't see, you can take your chances just by attack grounding. And that is the USF roster. Relatively straightforward, very simple,
MG, waiting on you.
but very potent, and it covers a lot of ground. The main weakness that USF have is a lack of indirect. You really have to play into your battle groups for some form of indirects, whether that be the M8 Scott from Armoured or the Field Howitzer from Advanced Infantry. But otherwise, your mortars and your GMC are going to be your primary form of indirects, as pathetic as that sounds. I'm going to take a small break and then we'll get on to DAK. And now for DAK, the last faction. Now DAK is arguably the hardest faction to play. Because it has the most options out of it. It is probably the strongest faction in the game too, because it can cover it covers everything. It has anti-air, It has indirect, good infantry, good vehicles, good late game, and it comes with a couple of juicy goodies as well. Start with the headquarters. As you'll see, we've got a few options. The first one being the Kratschützen. This little guy.
Achtung, crew!
The Kratschützen, unlike the Kettenkrad, has an MG34, so it can deal with light infantry like scouts, sappers. Sometimes they don't want to get close to sappers with this thing, or anything really. It's relatively squishy, but it has good. It's gun does good damage. It's not to be underestimated, so you want to be careful when approaching these guys. Just head on, walking at them. As you can see, there's a lot going on with this thing. So, it has support veterancy. It also has self-repair. Not like the Jeep's advanced self-repair, but it does self-repair when it's out of combat damaged. It also has binoculars too, so when it's stationary, it gives extra vision. A bit like the Kettenkrad as well. It also captures territory, so this is like a good, like in a 1v1 environment to get first, so you can capture a lot of territory whilst all your infantry are fighting and taking other points a bit more forward. Relatively straightforward. Its veterancy 1 is the juicy part of it though, where units that are hit by it are 10% easy to hit, and this is not to be underestimated because the 10% in the early game, this thing does capture territory fast and gains veterancy from capturing stuff. This thing can get veterancy wrong really quickly, and it can make fighting your Panzer Grenadiers a nightmare. A very potent unit, very scary. It can reverse too, as of Daring Defy. It can reverse, but as you can see, it's pathetically slow. So you're just better off move commanding. Never really reverse it because 9 times out of 10 you're just going to lose it. Second unit in the DAK headquarters, Panzer Grenadier. This guy. The Panzer Grenadier is your mainline infantry unit. It comes with an MG34 upgrade, which is good at long range. It definitely kicks Panzer Grenadier up a notch. So it's a note with all infantry that isn't team weapons for DAK. They have this ability called rudimentary repairs, which allows the unit to repair a vehicle. Not as good as your Panzer Pioneers, but good enough. If you hold control as well, you'll like over a vehicle, instead of repairing it, you'll mount it. So keep that in mind. If these guys get caught repairing, you are going to take a lot more damage. As you can see, 100% more damage and 200% easier to hit. So be careful when doing this. But otherwise, this guy is just standard infantry. Has a grenade, has a snare. The snare does more damage at veterancy too. So these guys do get better over the course of the game. Something to note with DAK is that they have a passive ability called Combined Arms, and this applies to all their infantry. So, as you can see, this little icon, Combined Arms. Now, it's very sort of meh. Movement speed and ability recharge is sort of dismissive, but it can really help DAK get around the place a lot. The ability recharge can really come in clutch sometimes when you're in a big fight and you need more grenades and snares faster. But typically, you're not really going to keep your infantry around your vehicles often. You want to kind of be spread out and taking advantage of the fact that these guys are definitely very scary. 5 men, 100 health. That's without the armory upgrades, which we'll get to in a sec. But the vet one's also pretty solid too. So when they disembark from a vehicle, whether that's a 2-5er, whether that's a Star, any unit vehicle that can hold mounted infantry, gains capture speed and weapon accuracy, which is really solid. It can help with like cut-off play, or just quickly decapping like +10 fuels or stuff in the front of you. It lasts for 30 seconds too, which is really solid. With it refreshing every time you hop onto a vehicle and decrew from it. The other unit, Panzer Pioneers. So this is your engineer unit. 85 health, 4 men, which is good. It's one of the better combat engineers at range, if not the best. Comes with standard upgrades, flamethrower, sweeper, and a grenade launcher. Now, the grenade launcher is good in urban environments or like against units in cover. It helps when sort of flamethrower, because flamethrower is a pretty short range to use. The grenade launcher has as much range, if not more, than your rifles, so it can really help. And you can also attack ground with it when you require it. As you can see, the engineers come with standard stuff. This is without the battle groups, of course. They come with better repairs. They have the combined arms passive, and then the veterancy 1 allows it to throw a stun grenade, which, as you can see, reduces target vision by 100, -7% speed, and the unit cannot shoot. And this can be really good to just knock a unit out, get on top of it, and kill it. Really good for dealing with team weapons too. It can also cut wire too, which is good, even without the advanced habit removing package. The final unit in the headquarters is the 250 carrier.
Understood, Commandant.
So we have this guy.
Commandant, we hear you.
It's relatively squishy. 6 frontal armor, 240 health. This gets countered very easily by ultralights like the Jeep, Weasel, and Dingo. But it's not so much a fighting unit as it is a support unit. So it comes with 2 upgrades. You have the KWK, whatever it's called,
250, standing by.
38 autocannon,
You await order.
which allows it to. It becomes very scary. It won't deal with Humbers on its own, but it helps with that in the infantry, and it is up by armor 2 to 13 armor, so it's definitely a bit highly skilled with small arms.
Light vehicle ready.
Other options are more half track. This guy becomes a lot squishier at 160 health
Light vehicle
compared to
ready.
the other vehicles. But it is a vehicle, so it's easy to move. It has I dare say it has a bit more range. Smoke as well. And it has the incendiary barrage as a veterancy 1, which a good damage over time ability.
Commandant, we hear you.
The base 250 as well comes with medical station, which, like the Dingo, just heals infantry around it, but does not restore models.
250, standing by.
You have orders for
Both
us?
these vehicles here
You
can
await
tow.
orders.
The more half-track cannot, so keep that in mind.
250, standing by.
Say the word.
For the 250 when a unit's inside, it has a lot faster fire rate, and its veterancy 1 differs from the 250 in the sense that it has this ability called Hit and Run. The vehicle is reduced to 75% HP while in combat. It gains a combat bonus, which is just speed and acceleration. Makes it really fast, good for getting out of engagements that might
You
fit
have
in the
orders for us?
250. The veterancy 1 for the standard carry, however, allows the infantry within the garrison hold or inside the vehicle to heal. It has to be out of combat though. It does not heal in combat.
250, standing
And these guys, they come relatively early. The upgrades do.
250, standing by.
KWK autocannon costs 15 fuel and only fuel, and the mortar half track costs munitions.
We await order.
But that's not your only form of indirect, don't worry. The last thing I'll touch upon is the armoured reserves. Inside the... what's it called? Your DAK columns, basically. So this replaces all these guys, which we'll touch on after. Actually, we'll touch on it now. So, for DAK, at around 6 minutes into the game, you'll be able to call in these guys. You can only pick one, and you must have fire support elements and or the mechanized company to do so. I was going to say. Yeah, you get one of these. So it comes in with a 250. So for this one, you'll get a Pandiega squad with a 250. For this one, you'll get an Assault Gren 250. For the pack, you'll get a 250 with a AT gun, and then you'll get for the LEIG, you'll get an LEIG and a 250. They all cost different amounts of manpower. These two are the same. This one's 300, and this one's just a bit the most expensive at 325. You get these once every 6 minutes, like I said, and it can definitely help deal with certain threats that you're dealing with. So if there's a Humber coming out, Panzerjäger, mechanized. If you're dealing with a lot of riflemen, no vehicles, assault grenadiers. In a team's environment, I'm more often find myself going with the pack AT gun, because the lane is a lot more narrow, and Panzerjägers don't have as much range as an AT gun. Whilst they are omnidirectional and can deal with threats in every sort of direction, that should never really be the case in a big teams game, and instead this AT gun is going to get you a lot more benefits. The LEIG is a support gun. It's like a mortar, arguably better. It probably is better actually. Does more damage. Has kill 2 being at 5 models, and it has more range too. So it's good. Armored reserves replaces all of them with these columns, which we'll touch on. So for the first column, we have the Panzer II Assault Group. Essentially, it just comes with a Panzer III and a Panzer Pioneer. I don't typically go this often. The other choices are largely better, but it's alright if you're in a pickle and you're just you're just playing with mass Panzer IIIs, and the Pioneers there in case you need extra healing. You have the Stug Assault Group, which calls in 2 Stugs. These are the anti-vehicle Stugs, which is not too bad, but they're very sort of situational compared to the others, in terms of just dealing with vehicle threats. You have the Panzer IV. You actually this comes with an assault grenadier, but I completely forgot about that. The assault grenadier is good for the anti-infantry pressure, and then the Panzer IV is just a regular Panzer IV. Good vehicle, especially for DAK with its army upgrades, and then obviously typically you're going armoured reserves for the Tiger. This is the big cat. This is a base kit unit, so you don't need any battle groups, you just need armoured reserves. Bear in mind, to get armoured reserves, you need to be on Panzer Army Command. And to get to Panzer Army Command, you need to have Light Support Company and Mechanized Company, or you need to have Light Support Company with Fire Support Elements, which is the upgrade here. The Tiger is the big cat. It's big, scary, 380 frontal, 210 side. Very difficult to deal with, does a lot of damage, but it is very expensive. It's at 700 manpower and 245 fuel. Makes it one of the most expensive heavies in the game, because you have to factor in the facts that you need armoured reserves too, so that takes it up to 800 to 95. The Tiger is very straightforward. It's just a big cat with a big gun and does a lot of damage. And that's armoured reserves. Pretty straightforward. The other thing DAK has is the armory. So you have 3 tiers of armory. You have tier 1, top row, tier 2, middle row, tier 3, the bottom row. Tier 1 you'll get when you make the Light Support Company. You'll unlock tier 2 when you get Fire Support Elements and Mechanized Company, and you'll get tier 3 if you've gone Light Support Company with Fire Support Elements into Panzer Army Command, or you go Light Support Company, Mechanized Company with Support Armor Elements. Now, typically, it's pretty easy to know what you'll go into. Advanced Field Repairs, it just increases all infantry squads by 4. It's not bad, but it's overshadowed by its competitors in the same tier. Bear in mind, every tier has a fixed cost. So tier 1 is just 125 manpower, tier 2 is 125.20, and tier 3 is 175.50. The other tier 1 is combat half tracks, which allows you to upgrade the 250 into the 2509 in the mortar half tracks. Without this upgrade, you can't do that. So bear that in mind. But it also increases the front, the armor by 5.5 and the health by 40. So it makes 250s a bit, it has a bit more presence. The dingoes and jeeps aren't as scary. The last one, and the one that's typically being played the most at the moment, is the boasted Panzer Grenadiers. Panzer Grenadiers essentially get +1 model to their squads. As you can see there, you have to reinforce that model. It doesn't come automatically. And Panzer Grenadiers being 32, standard for the mainline infantry. Just keep that in mind. But very scary unit when they get all their upgrades. This is just the start of the few that they can get. The second tier is sort of your mid-game-ish. Typically, you pick this up after your flak failing /8 rad / other form of light vehicle. But you can kind of improvise and go from there. So you have emergency repair kits, which allows all vehicles, when stationary, just to repair out of combat. Don't need a Pioneer, don't need any Panzer Grenadiers, any infantry like that, they'll just do it automatically. Very solid upgrade, very respectable. It can definitely help when you're a bit lazy, especially like from the last video, the Stuart's emergency repair kits. It's a good upgrade. You have smoke package, so it gives all vehicles the ability to deploy smoke. It does cost munitions, by the way, bear that in mind, but it also gives them 20% speed and 15% rotation rate. I find the other options to be better at the minute. The smoke package is just whatever. It can really help if you're if you need like a get out of jail free card, if you're playing with half tracks a lot and stuff like that, and not Panzer Grenadier, but it's really negligible. The final one in tier 2 is the veteran squad leaders. This is the one you'll typically lean into, especially with Panzer Grenadier builds. This applies to all infantry squads as well, so your Pioneers, Assault Grens, Panzerjäger, and Grenadiers. They get just a flat 25% experience earned. It helps them scale a lot faster compared to the other mainlines, but they also just get a flat 10% damage reduction, which makes DAK infantry extremely annoying to fight, and even more so difficult to kill. And this is, like I said, the upgrade you'll typically lean into. Now, tier 3 is a bit it's a bit more free form, I'd say. Every upgrade in this tier is viable. It's good. They all have their place, and I think that's one of the best parts with tier 3. You don't have to just autopilot into the upgrade. You actually have to kind of think about it depending on your situation and your circumstances. Every upgrade has its place. So, the first upgrade is survival package. All vehicles get 80% health, helps with their survivability, and allows them to capture points. The capture points is okay. You normally see this more in the 1v1s and sometimes 2v2s. The bigger team games there isn't as much to cap. The map is a lot more linear, so the vehicles don't really have that presence. But the extra 80 health can definitely help with like sort of Panzer III spam, and sort of keep your medium vehicles alive too, like your Stabmada. You have advanced optics as the second option, which increases the vision range of your vehicles by 7. It increases the accuracy of the weapon by 20%, as well as lowering the scatter by 20%. So this means when your unit is moving and they're shooting at a target, sometimes the weapon might miss and scatter. With this, that helps mitigate it a slight bit, and it definitely helps with keeping your vehicles accurate on the move and sort of playing like a raider playstyle. The last option, my personal favourite, I think this is the one that I like to play a lot, is tungsten core ammunition. So all vehicles get special AP rounds, which as base kit, it's not active ability. They just get 25% main gun pen, 20% anti-vehicle damage on all tanks and vehicle-based autocannons. Bear this in mind, it does not apply to anti-tank guns and the big flak AT gun. So this can help with your Panzer IIIs dealing with Matilda. It can help penning Shermans, Grants, vehicles like that. It also helps with those Panzer IIIs being a bit more of a brawler tank and helping them fight directly into sort of like Crusader spam. Like I said, this is the one that I typically pivot into.
Tungsten core munitions have been requisitioned.
Now, with the headquarters and its armory finally out the way, we can finally get into the light support company, which is your tier 1. So starting off, we have the assault grenadiers. This is similar to Panzer Grenadier. They're a close range unit that's able to repair. They can breach too, so kick units out of buildings. They have grenade assault, which means every model throws a grenade instead of just one. They do less damage per grenade, I believe. But because every grenade isn't really has a model cap, this is able to straight up just wipe team weapons instead of and infantry if you can get some good retreat grenades, rather than just the one grenade. You also have a smoke grenade. The smoke's actually free. This costs munitions, but this is free. This goes on like a 2 to 3 minute cooldown. It can help with like advancing into sort of MG lands and blocking that line of sight. They are affected by combined arms, but the main pivot with assault grenadiers is their assault disembark, which is what you're mainly playing for assault grenadiers. So when you hit veterancy 1, you'll get assault disembark, which essentially makes your grenadiers faster. They're harder to hit. Not harder to hit, sorry. They take less damage, and your grenade assault is free too, so it doesn't cost munitions. So typically, you'll assault disembark, get really close to the enemy, and then at the last second you'll throw your grenades, and you can cycle this too because it doesn't go on cooldown. So you just can constantly keep using this, cycling it, you know, closing the distance, fighting, and then hopping back on, cycle. It's definitely very difficult to deal with, especially with sections and riflemen that don't really have their weapons or double bars. And assault grenadiers scale very well too. Their veterans is very good. They're definitely one of the top 3 sort of CQC units, even without their assault disembark. Just a very good unit, and they're affected by VSL too. Moving on, we have the MG34.
MG34 on standby.
Just like any other MG, it's affected. It's affected by combined arms. Its damage is good. Its suppression not so good. Its fit ability is pretty solid too, 75% weapon accuracy, but it doesn't do suppression, so it's just pure damage. Not a bad unit though. It's definitely slept on a little bit with DAK, with the state of mainlands being a lot more present. But all in all, a good unit. But when you compare them to Panzer Grenadier, 9 times out of 10 you might want a Panzer Grenadier over an MG. However, that being said, the MG does have good zone of control. The next unit is Panzer Grenadier. Panzer Jaeger. Rudimentary repairs like all over. They come with 2 Panzer Boxer. So this is a 4-man specialized unit at dealing with vehicles. Very good at dealing with vehicles, man. Unlike the boys, the light vehicle threats from allies is a lot more present, and so they don't really have medium vehicles until they get into their company and tank depot. So these guys are a lot more effective at dealing with those vehicles. They have tear gas, which is just like a mini snare. It's minus 60% speed and disables vision, so they can't see, but they can still shoot back. So just keep that in mind. And then at veterancy 1, they get concealment, which further gives them fair strike, which more damage, more accuracy for 5 seconds. Good unit. Very easy to sort of misuse though, because you kind of want to keep them in half tracks and stuff, chasing Humbers and doing damage like that. But a good unit. 4 men at 95 health. with solid veterancy. Next is the medical truck. So this is the most expensive healing in the game at 200 manpower and 20 fuel, but it's mobile, so you don't need to upgrade into meds. It's great in a team's environment too. You can just get your medical truck straight up into the front and keep your infantry in the fight, cycling them out and just winning that attrition war. Comes with support veterancy, which is solid. Recrew as well, heal. The main sort of pack from this truck though is field supplies. So all units inside the area gain combined arms, which just makes them a lot faster with that ability to recharge. It's not as potent as it used to be with combined arms getting changed a while ago, but it's a nice passive to have, and it's definitely nothing to scoff at because it does last 60 seconds after you leave that area of effect. But otherwise, it's just a straightforward medical vehicle. Once you get fire support elements, you unlock this bottom row here. It might be a bit difficult to see, but as you can see here, your first option, and the option you typically go into with fire support elements, is the flak veiling half track. This is the sort of anchor for DAK, in the sense of this is what you kind of use to keep yourself afloat in the sort of middle game. It's good at zoning out the other vehicles. Has good range too. It's also affected by tungsten core too, so it helps with that anti-aircraft role. If the vehicles get a bit too close, you can use the armor piece and munitions. Just more weapon penetration, does a lot more damage. However, don't headbutt this unit because it is relatively squishy, and the other vehicles will still win. It did get changed as of recently though, so its veterancy 1 gives it more health now, so it's able to survive 3 anti-tank gunshots instead of 2, but that's at veterancy 1. The other options, the pack, standard AT gun with a veterancy 1 that reduces the target's armor by 20, so this is good to help deal with heavy tanks, as well as some medium vehicles if they're being a problem. Typically you'll use it against like Shermans and Grants, but it's a solid ability for 35 munitions. You just need to be veterancy 1. The other one is the LEIG. This is your basically better mortar. It has a lot more range. It's a 5-man thingy squad. That also can be a bit of a threat to other forms of indirect too. So it can be a bit of a threat to bishops. It does some decent damage to bishops. Does some decent damage to other vehicles too. But you don't really want to be counter batterying against bishops, because 9 times out of 10 they'll just counter battery you, and it's going to be a problem. But if you have nothing else to really shoot at with, it's not bad. The auto fire range is good too. This does auto fire, and it's veterancy 1. To be honest, I've never used this. I've never been able to get the use out of this because, you know, they just don't die of the LEIG. But if they get close to this thing, you can use this, and it'll slow the vehicle down. Rotation rate. It's basically a vehicle dead in the water. It's decent ability, but like I said, I've never been able to get use out of it. Moving on to mechanized company. This is where your sort of larger amounts of vehicles are. Starting with the 8 rad. The 8 rad is a... How do I put it? It's a good anti-infantry vehicle with a lot of chase potential, but it sort of struggles in its role because the flak suppresses with its weapon, and the 8 rad doesn't. So it can be a bit difficult for it to use this thing, especially when the other light vehicles come out too. It'll deal with a Humber, but fighting against a Stuart Ground and Chaffee can be a bit difficult. Its veterancy 1 is pretty solid. Commander mode, 50% vision. It buffs units around it and gives it reload speed and accuracy. It's a good support unit, but I just prefer the flak. Or if I'm doing something else, I might use like a battle group unit. The other option is the Marder. Much like the Wehrmacht's Marder, it's just exclusively anti-tank. It doesn't have a brace though, instead it's just a travel speed buff. It is very good at dealing with tanks, so it's very high penetration and a very solid unit. But it's pretty generic anti-tank vehicle. The third unit without armored element support is the 254.
We're receiving you.
So this is a sort of recon detector unit that's able to sort of deal with team weapons and provide support to your infantry. You can see here. It has a light mortar barrage, and it also has a smoke barrage too, of which you can not fire both, because I'm pretty sure they're going cooldowns. No, you can actually disregard that. It also comes with detection as well, and it can capture territory. Typically though, you don't really want to get this on territory points. With it being a detector unit, people will see the signal detection and just think, ooh, like, you know, that's like this is like a ping of come get me. More often than not, you use this to bait vehicles into diving you, but it's good for dealing with team weapons, like I said. Once it's Veterancy 1, it improves the abilities of these off-maps smoke and mortar barrage. As you can see, 6 rounds for the mortar and 2 rounds for the smoke. It also increases range of those barrages too. But it can't move, so bear that in mind. Otherwise, not a terrible unit actually, at all. Because it can detect camera units and it gains experience for capturing territory. But it's sort of whatever. Once you get support armoured elements, you get the Stug. The Stug, unlike the Stug G, this is the anti-infantry version. It comes with a mortar. So it's like the bulldozer in the sense that it deals with infantry pretty solid. It's Veterancy 1, allows it to shoot further with less rate of fire. But also has good frontal armor too at 250. It'll bounce like 2-pounders and stuff. 2-pounders out effect to it, but the 6-pounders may not bounce and do some damage. The other vehicle, a bit more of a weird one, is the recovery half track. So the recovery half track, first of all, very simply just has support veterancy. It's able to repair itself and other vehicles. But it's also able to salvage and restore wrecked vehicles. So this is good for like hijacking enemy tank wrecks around it. Not only yours, but you can take the enemy's wrecks as well and use them against them. But this doesn't see a lot of use just because the battle groups sort of offer better, and or there's just other things more interesting and more immediate to make. The final structure is the Panzer Command. So, first and foremost, Panzer III. We're already kind of acquainted with the Panzer III, it's your main tank. It's a fast, medium tank with a lower caliber gun compared to the others, but it's just as scary. It comes with the MG34 upgrade. 150 frontal. It has more than a Crusader, but less than a Sherman, so it's a bit of a weird unit. But it is a generalist tank, so it can deal with infantry and vehicles alike. The Veterancy 1, similar to the Panzer IV, just allows it to fire faster. However, the rate of fire afterwards dramatically shifts for 15 seconds. But solid tank for its cost, and with all the armory upgrades, it can get pretty out of hand pretty quickly, especially when we talk about battle groups at some point. The other unit, the second unit you can make is the Flak. This is your big AT gun, the 17-pounder equivalent. It does have an anti-air mode, and it does come with a 6-man crew, so it's a lot more durable against small arms. Has a lot of range, as you can see. Very good at dealing with threats from afar. It's affected by combined arms. This doesn't. Oh yeah, I completely forgot. So Team weapons.
Gun
I'll quick
ready.
touch on really quick. Team weapons get a different version of combined arms in which they get greater fire and speed instead of ability recharge,
Weapon crew here.
which is actually a lot better than the base combined arms.
Gun ready.
I actually completely forgot about that. I'm glad I've caught it. The Flak's veterancy is super scary. Target engine. It basically causes the enemy vehicle to engine critical, which is the red triangle.
My crew are
And
ready.
it means that unit's just staying in water. If you're not able to make this unit move, you're going to lose that vehicle. But overall, very big AT gun with anti-air capabilities, but you're not typically using it for anti-air, as if your flak's just alive. The last unit is the Walking Stuka. This is a absolute menace of a vehicle. Very scary too. There's lots of damage to there's a lot of damage too. Very mobile too, but it is very squishy at 120 health, so this can be very easily counter battered. You kind of have to babysit it a little bit, keep it on the move after it's fired. But it's a very good indirect piece. Deals with team weapons very well. It can deal with infantry very well as well. But I wouldn't be making this for vehicles. You can use it to counter battery bishops and land mattresses, but typically this becomes more under threat from those vehicles than it does to them. It is kind of like 50-50 almost. I believe that covers it. We whizzed through DAK very quickly, which is good because USF is just packed with stuff. Hopefully in the next video we'll go over some battle groups, and hopefully this should help you with understanding the basics of every unit's purpose within the factions. And I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.